Welcome to this episode of 15-Minute Masterpieces. I'm Lisa Magyar, and I'm going to be painting with acrylics today. I really don't know what I'm going to do. This is my process. I very rarely know what I'm going to do. I usually use leftover paint, so I'm just going to get started. Always wet the brush before jumping into the paint. And here we go. Just randomly throwing lines on the canvas and trying to fill out some of that background. We always want to make sure we're wrapping those edges. And I'm not being super neat because I don't know what I'm doing as far as what I'm going to create. I know what I'm doing as far as painting goes. So just like that. Acrylics are really fun because they work in layers and you can build the color up, start with a good base of color. I'm just using some of this purple and blue color. It's kind of a sky blue color. Again, still don't know what I'm actually painting, but it will come to me as we go. It's all part of the process. And I'm just using my large number 12 flat brush. It covers really well, gets a lot of the color on all at once. So we're wrapping those edges. You always want to wrap your edges as you go, just because you don't want to have to go back and try to match that color. A lot of times I do a lot of blending on the canvas instead of mixing on my palette, and this allows it to match, so I don't have to try to go back and figure out what colors did I use to make that combination. I'm just going to throw in some of this blue, kind of lighten up some of that purple. I'm going to continue that up to the top. And if you need a little bit more flow, you just add a little bit of water to your brush, mix it with the paint, and go ahead and start painting. So I really like this process because you never know what you're going to end up with. Like I said, a lot of times I like to work with the leftover paint after a class or something like that. You got a limited palette, so you kind of have to be free. And that's one of my mottos when painting: be free, be loose, just enjoy what you're doing. It shouldn't be a big struggle. It doesn't always have to be precise. I'm just coming into that theory late in life here and figuring out I don't have to be exact and I can still be an artist. It's still art. Still not 100% what I'm seeing just yet, but I think it'll come into play here in a little bit. Make sure you rinse your brushes out really well as you go and dab them on a paper towel. I'm going to come in here, mix some green, and pick up some of this yellow, nice lime green. As long as the paints are wet, they will blend. So sometimes with acrylics, you have to make sure that they're dry. I'm switching to a round brush. I want a little bit more control on what I'm doing here. Come in with just some yellow. Just blend it, mix it up. Let's see what we can come up with in 15 minutes. Like I said, you want to wrap around the edges, make it nice and finished. And I'm going to come in with some white, kind of lighten that up a little bit. And just being easy, light with the brushes. The one thing I don't like about acrylics is they move, so I'm gonna have to let that kind of dry. And let's see if we can maybe add on to that. I'm kind of seeing maybe a bug of some sort. I'll let that blend. And just kind of work that right off the page, or canvas rather. I don't know why I tend to do a lot of eyes and fish. I always like to make my eyes offset. I think that's kind of fun. And sometimes when you do that, it's okay if it's off. Then people don't judge you by your circles not being the same size or anything. And I'm gonna let that drip go because, again, it's fun, it's free, it's part of the process, it's part of the painting. Come in with yellow. And just keep layering these colors. And just switch to this filbert. Now, one of my big no-nos that I'm doing is I'm leaving my brushes in the water. I don't usually do that. I'm very adamant about rinse the brushes. But we only have 15 minutes to work, so I'm gonna just wait and clean those out after I am done. So this is maybe a stressed out little buggy. Give him some worry lines. And come in with some red. Just kind of throwing in some accent colors here and there. Don't forget to wrap it around. I don't know what kind of bug it is, but I guess he's going to need legs. And just kind of by adding some accent colors, kind of creating a fun little bug guy. So this is one of my favorite processes to do, is just randomly put paint on a canvas and then it completely turns itself into something, whether that's what I was going for or not. A lot of times, even if I had an idea of what I was doing, it usually morphs into something else by the time I get going with it. Come back in here with some yellow and green and kind of build up some of the layers here so it doesn't look too flat. Again, letting them blend as we go. And yep, I just got my paintbrush in that red. I didn't necessarily want that, but we will let that go. And kind of cover over and blend it in. Every now and then step back, see what you got, and see where it needs something else added to it. Looking to get arty in Enid, Oklahoma? Join us at Creative Arts Enid, 222 East Maple. So I'm just kind of going into my liner brush now. So I can add some lines. Just pulling in some other color into there. I don't want it to look too flat with the purples and the greens. So I'm throw in some of this orange. And I'm not afraid of kind of clumping the paint on. That adds texture and makes it a little bit brighter. And something I always do. And the right eye has a couple of dots in his eye. And that's just one of my trademarks whenever I do eyeballs. So I think we've got a crying cricket is what our 15-minute masterpiece has ended up being. It would be something I would spend some more time on, cleaning up my edges and coming in, like I said, wrapping that paint around the edges. About like that. So then I hope you join us for the next episode of 15-Minute Masterpieces.